full-fledged electrician. Oh, yeah. And I've taken a job with Harvard University. So I got to park my car in the Harvard yard. And I got to park it in the business school yard. And I got to park it in the law school yard. And I had an opportunity to be transferred over to the medical school. And it was great because it was closer to my house. It was good parking. It was fantastic. Now, I was the youngest of 40 electricians that were part of Harvard. And when you're the youngest of 40 like that, you're picked on a little bit, you know. They want to find out your soft spots, where they can probe you, or what they want to do with you. And there's a lot of sort of pranks going back and forth. So I was privy to it, and I let some of these older guys get away with some different things. And my job that particular day was I was going to put a section of electrical lighting for a doctor's office. And I had a coil of wire that I was going to take from that location down and take a left to the other location down the hall. Now to do that, I was going to run the wire out of the box, brand new box, and I ran it down on the floor like this, and then I take a turn like this down the L-shaped hallway, left to right, remaining a part of it. I went back here to get up my 8-foot ladder, and I went up to grab the hold of the wire that was on the top of my ladder. And when I grabbed it, I said, I am being electrocuted. I could feel the electricity going through my body. Now I had just taken it, I know they don't put electricity in boxes of wire. I know that for sure. And I'm holding on to this. Now there are two ways you die from electricity. You either get it through your heart to the ground, or you get it through your brain to the ground. I was lucky enough to be able to have most of the electricity just going through my arm, down my leg, and I'm holding on to it, and finally I reach over with my other hand, and I squeeze it real tight, pop. All the sparks let go. The fuse is blew. And I am shaking on the top of the ladder. And I come down that ladder, and I go following this coil of wire, take my turn down the hallway, and there it was, right on the end of the coil. It had been split open, and the two black and white wires were stuck into an outlet down the end of the hallway. Well, now I know, from being streetwise, that the very first person that's going to come into that room and ask me how I'm doing is going to be the one that caused the trouble. See, because I'm street smart. And I am just standing back waiting for somebody to show up. And sure enough, down the hallway comes Plumber Bob. Hey, Obi, did I hear you yell something a few minutes ago? And are you all right? Yeah, sure, I'm fine, not a problem. I wouldn't give him any satisfaction. But my hand was burned. So now, I knew Plumber Bob was the culprit. Now, you never mess with an electrician. I'm telling you that. You don't want to mess with an electrician. And I was planning, scheming. How am I going to get revenge? Now, Plumber Bob always put his lunchbox on the plumber's table in the same location. He's been doing it for 15 years. And I knew that lunchbox was going to be part of the plan. I waited until everybody had gone out that next morning, and 3 weeks later, everybody had gone. I walked over to Plumber Bob's lunchbox. I took the little laps off, and I looked inside, and he had an apple, and he had 2 peanut butter and jelly, and he had a note from his wife saying, bring home the bread, bring home the... Everything was fine. And he had a thermos filled, took it all up, laid it on the table. And I went over here to this big wooden bench in a big area with, they had these railroad spikes. And I grabbed one of those spikes, And I came over quick to the lunchbox, and I put it in the middle of the box, and I took a hammer, and I drove it right down into the bottom of that lunchbox. And then I put the apple back, and I put the thermos back, I put the little note back on the top, no fingerprints. Now, it wasn't my fault. It was not my fault that it was a beautiful day outside and all of the other tradespeople wanted to go outside and have their lunch. Okay? That wasn't my fault. And it wasn't my fault that Plumber Bob was 10 minutes late for having his lunch. Wasn't my fault. Because he came running in this door. And he came running. And he made the turn to get up enough speed so he'd pick up on that extra 10 minutes. And he turned. And he was going to make it so that door was still going to be open and he was going to have his lunch. And he ran and he grabbed that lunchbox. Well, you know, they said they heard the pop. Right out through the glass window. As Plumber Bob hit the floor. And his arm, I was in here in the bathroom looking out the door between the cracks. Like this. And his arm and shoulder was in a very peculiar position on the ground. And I knew it was time to go out the bathroom window. And that's what I did. I was out the bathroom window and I came around to the pile of all the other workers outside and said, "What's going on?" And they said, "Plumber Bob is down." Well, hi, what's going on? And we had to get a gurney, not I, but someone had to get a gurney and load him up on the gurney, and he had to go to the hospital, and he had pins in his shoulders and everything. And then there's a big investigation. Who could have possibly put that large spike through Plumber Bob's lunch pail? Who could have done that? All the other workers were looking. Who could it be? I think they might have suspected something. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, I'm here to turn myself in for the very first time after all those years, that it was I that put that spike right down through the middle of that lunchbox. And I have to tell you, he recovered. He always was looking for the culprit to find out who it was, because maybe he was going to try something. But it seemed like from that point on that everybody sort of said, I think we'll just kind of leave that new electrician alone.